All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn, but not today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a hot topics episode. We got a list of topics here that we want to get through that are going to be steaming because they're so damn hot. Got some farming, we got some current events going on, but before we get into all that, you guys know the drill. If you get any value from the show, if we made you laugh, if we related to us on something, if you learned something, all that we ask is you just share the show with the people that you know. The more that you guys do that, the more that this show can grow, the more episodes we can make, the more guests we can get on, and it's just a win-win for everybody. Another thing you can do to help us out here at Barn Talk is you can leave a review on Spotify or Apple. The more you guys do that, the more credibility it gives our show so we can recruit better guests to come to Southeast Iowa and sit in the barn with us. Last thing you can do to help out our family farm and here at Barn Talk is support our direct-to-consumer meat business, Farmer Grade, farmergrade.com. We are running a special this week on New York strips, dry-aged New York strips, 21-day. So they're 20% off. We usually run a cut of the week every single week, so take advantage if you're in need for some New York strips. It's getting nipply. You know, it's December, or it's January now. It's New Year. And, you know, December wasn't too bad. November wasn't too bad. But it seems like the last 2 years, winter comes late.
We get hammered.
And we get hammered in January, February, and even a little bit in March. And, man, the temperatures are dropping.
We dodged a bullet because the snowstorm that we would have gotten last year hit Kansas City.
Yeah.
Instead.
Thank the Lord. We would have been clearing out the farm for days.
Had to put the dozer blade on.
Yeah.
But so far, so good. I don't know. We'll see. I bet you we don't make it through unscathed, and we probably need some snow anyway. But, man, I don't know. Winter anymore just looks like work to me, so I'm just not that fired up about it. We just got full of pigs. 2 of our sites were empty, so 3 of our 4 barns were empty right there up to Christmas, and we started filling both sites the week of Christmas. And my last site still needs 1 more load of pigs to finish it out. But
I feel like you kind of get screwed on that every time too. You are always burning LP.
Yeah,
every time. Get new pigs.
But I did better this. I mean, we really lucked out because when it was empty there, you know, it was pretty much hanging out right about freezing, 40 degrees during the day. Not a lot of wind. I got a neighbor, so Andy's barns, I think he's emptying out like this week. So he's going to be empty, and it's supposed to be like, what, 7 degrees the next couple days, 4 below at night, and he's going to have all those barns empty. No bueno.
So what? When you're washing, you got to turn the heaters on or what?
Well, yeah, you got to run the heat. You got to run the heat to power wash. So you better try to keep it 45 or 50 because otherwise, if you don't, it'll steam up so bad you can't see what you're doing. And then once you get it empty, you got to run some heat and some fans to get it dried out.
And you don't want the water lines to freeze.
Yep. And then you got to heat it up because once those slats, I mean, it's kind of a 6-1, half a dozen the other. You can let it go pretty cold. Like you can set it down 40 degrees if you want. But when you go to heat that up for pigs, you got to get all that concrete warmed up, and it's just going to take that much more heat to get the building warm. I mean, you'll get it up to temperature, but then it'll just constantly drop till you get that heat, till you get that concrete heated up. And then, you know, once you start putting pigs in it, 15-pound, 20-pound wiener pigs, they don't put out that much heat. I'm glad that we're overstocked. That helps. But yeah, it's not ideal, but you know, you get a free one in the summer. You know, when you're doing wiener pigs, you're going to fill every 6 months, give or take a few weeks. And so the later you fill into the winter, the one you get in the summer, you just got to look at that because you're not going to burn any gas then. It's going to be hot. So take what you get. I can tell you that I'm thankful we have the 2 barns that are double-sided. I wish I had them all. We have 2 barns that are what we call solid-sided, straight tunnel, and then we got 2 barns that are the traditional double curtain barns. And weather like this, I'd take those solid-sided barns any day because they hold the heat. They heat up faster, no drafts. The pigs lay out nicer, way better. So anyway, market update though.
Market update. I mean, I don't know. You got a goal. You got one goal this year you want to achieve since it's the new year.
I think we'll get into that, but I don't know. I think I have two main goals. The 2 biggest goals, the 2 biggest wins for This'll Do Farm this summer, as far as I'm concerned, is 1, get in control of my financials as far as become a much better student of my numbers and know my numbers and really dial that in because I don't feel like I do a very good job of that. And 2, get her LWE system built. Separate manure.
I like those
are
goals.
Those are the 2. What
like
about
those.
you, Mr. Farmer Grade?
I would say get to the point where I'm not working in the business constantly all the time. So hiring some stuff out, whether that's here on Barn Talk, whether that's This'll Do Farm, whether that's Farmer Grade, just buy some time back so I can focus on more important things or just needle movers, that can push the needle forward. And then I told myself, I don't feel like, this is kind of funny because on this podcast, we always talk about how we don't have hobbies, but I feel like I should learn. I need to have an outlet a little bit more, and I probably should learn a hobby. So I have a goal to learn a hobby outside of work, whether that's shooting a bow at a target or shooting handguns or just shooting guns in general or, I don't know, skiing, something that I can just shut my mind off and just hang out and chill.
I kind of like to watch you ski.
Yeah. You wouldn't like, I don't know. I don't know about that one. There's nearest ski resort is quite a ways away. So I see all these snowboarding videos on TikTok and they just look badass, but I don't think I'll ever get there. So it might just be something simple, but gosh, hobbies cost a lot of money.
They do.
It doesn't matter which one you pick.
They do cost a lot. On that genre, pretty much all of our couple friends have embraced the side-by-side world. So pretty much every one of them now have bought some form of a side-by-side, whether it be a Ranger or a General or a Can-Am this or whatever. And they all like to take leisurely trail rides in the summer. And so the pressure is on because they all think that we need to get one. And that's an expensive hobby. However, I will say this, the number of people because of COVID that all bought side-by-sides and then realized they don't have time to use them that are for sale. Facebook Marketplace is awash in side-by-sides. And it's just interesting because to see the price that they're listed at and then watch the price just drop over time as they don't get anybody to buy them. So there's a big discrepancy between the guy that wants to sell his side-by-side versus what somebody wants to pay for a side-by-side. And it's fun to watch those numbers, but I can tell you that if you're somebody and you put it on at a competitive price, that sumbitch is gone, like gone fast. So I don't know whether I'll get down on that or not, but that's something that I guess we're working towards.
I dabble in that too. I always love fucking shit up on an ATV. That's can't beat that. That's always fun. But I don't know if I'm quite at the tax bracket yet to swing that one.
The best way to do that is to market your product at a profitable rate.
Yep.
So I'm going to give you the market update. Today's market update is a happy one because the markets are up. Any of you that are in the know that on Friday, the USDA came out with their ending stock and their ending yield reports. And a lot of people are calling this too little too late because USDA has overstated how big our yield was going to be, how big our acres were going to be, and what the ending stocks were going to be clear back when this crop was planted. When this corn crop was planted in 24, I mean, it was going to just be massive. It was going to be like, I don't even remember what the acreage number was, but the yield was crazy. And then we got to harvest. It turned off dry. The end of the year turned off dry. And a lot of people were like, the yields weren't what they thought they were going to be. Now, don't get me wrong. There was some pretty crazy yields out there, but it wasn't what everybody thought. And then was it November? They dropped it. And now then, a lot of people thought that the corn yield number was going to be like 183.1, and they dropped it to 179.3. And they thought the bean yield was going to be 50.1 or 51.7, and it ended up being 50.7. And they took like 25 billion bushels from the ending stocks on corn. So the ending stocks for corn came out at 1.5 billion, and it was 1.74 billion. And beans, it went from 47 to 38. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with all of it, but basically they admitted that they screwed up. USDA screwed up. And that's not a surprise to anybody. But the response to that was that on Friday, corn was up hard, beans were up too. They were up pretty good too. Today, I think corn closed up 4 or 5 cents. Beans closed up 21 cents. So wheat did not partake in any of this. Wheat was the loser out of it because the numbers didn't change that much on wheat. But anyway, March corn closed today at 476, and the cash bids didn't come out. So basically, I just added what it went up to that bid. And these could change depending on whether or not people widen out their basis, because they did widen their basis a little bit from Friday. But the best local bid I could find was 442, and then the high bid was 452 in Burlington at ADM. And then January beans closed 1041. Burlington had 1020, and Quincy had 1048. Now, those bids there are probably the ones that most likely they will not. The bean market was up 21 cents, and I'd be very surprised whether they actually go up that or if they don't widen out their basis some. So those numbers may not be what it is when they close today. Bean meal for January, $300 a ton. Wheat for March, $5.45. Hogs for February, $83.25. And I didn't put this number in there, but the price for weaner pigs and feeder pigs are just, it's like a rocket. I mean, it's like feeder pigs are probably like $80, and weaner pigs, I don't know if they're $50 or not, but I'm sure they're $40. So that tells you that a lot of people are figuring that come summer, there's not going to be very many hogs out there. So those numbers were up. February cattle, 197.40. Feeder cattle for January, 271. Crude oil, $78. Bitcoin dropped a little bit, 92,000, but it's floating right in there in the 90s. When I was down in Kansas City, it was back up. It had been back up to 100, and it backed off a little bit again. Tesla, 393, and gold, $2,677. If you aren't in the gold market, I don't think I'd be getting in now, because I think this is pretty close to all-time high. Definitely a high in the last couple years. So if I've got gold, I keep it, but I sure as hell wouldn't buy any more now. Silver, $26.96.
You need a drink after that?
We should do the whiskey minute now. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how much this corn market can run. If exports stay at the pace they're at, I think corn could move. I think you could see March corn get to $5. This is not investment advice. Do we still have that
We
still
got
have
that
waiver on
disclaimer
there?
in every single episode.
That's good.
I made sure.
If you're looking to me for what you should do, you need to go look someplace else. But a lot of people are talking like if we can keep the exports going and the dollar doesn't get too far out of whack, you could see $5 corn for March. And if you're like me, I've got some corn left. I haven't marketed at all. I just sold a little today. I'm just going to keep trickling it out as this thing moves up, and I'll save that one load till the bitter end so that if it really hits, I can tell everybody that that's what I sold it all for. That's the farmer way. But I think a lot more upside for corn than beans. I think beans are somewhat limited because there's a big crop coming out of South America, and
Hey, thanks for sticking with us. Your voice deserves to be heard. When Iowa corn farmers unite as members of the Iowa Corn Growers Association, we make a larger impact. At ICGA, we are dedicated to creating opportunities for growers like you with a focus on long-term profitability for your farm. As a member, you have a voice in critical issues starting at the grassroots level and extending to the federal level. Together, we are addressing policy priorities set by farmers, such as increasing demand for higher ethanol blends, expanding trade opportunities, and safeguarding essential tax credits. Additionally, your membership grants you access to valuable news updates and exclusive events tailored specifically for our farmer members. We are stronger together. Become an ICGA member today, and let's build a more profitable future for all Iowa farmers. Don't wait any longer. Visit iowacorn.org/join to become ICGA member today. Now, let's get back to it. Are you feeling a little more optimistic now? With the year, how it's kind of played out, because there was a little doom and gloom in the beginning, just with input costs being where they were, and markets being where they were, and
maybe this is what I'm really hoping for. I'm hoping that we rally up here. Well, so first of all, I have no faith in the bean market because I'm not planting any beans this year. I made the decision I was going to plant all corn on corn, and I think a lot of people, well, I know because I just talked to my chemical guy day before yesterday, and he told me that he's got more corn acres this year than he's had any time he can remember. So there's a lot of guys out there that are doing the exact same thing I am, which makes you think, well, that's not very bright. But the truth is, there is not a lot of upside out there in that bean market. Right now, there's a little bit because we don't have as many beans as what we thought. But South America is going to raise a big crop, and the dollar is strong, and it really puts us at a disadvantage once they get to where they have beans. I don't know. I don't think we're a real competitive place in the world when it comes to beans specifically, but like seed oil in general, bean oil, I don't know. And bean meal, I don't know. And the other thing that's going to play into that is this cattle market. I just had a guy I was talking to today. I mean, we're getting to the point on cattle where we may get to the point come harvest that if South American beans are cheap enough or at a competitive number, we might be importing soybeans from South America to feed livestock here. Because the margins on cattle, if feed costs work up, people are going to be looking to save a dollar anywhere they can. I don't know, but I don't have a lot of faith in soybeans. But corn I do. I think there's more upside for corn, and I think we might have an opportunity to market new crop at a better price than what we sold last year. So if I can get a decent amount of my corn marketed at a more profitable level than where I was last year, I think that'll be a win. Whew.
That was good. That was a fire. I'm just you're a
Speaking of fire,
ball of knowledge there. I just shut up and listen.
Is your vacation house on fire?
If I were to have a vacation house, it sure as fuck would not be in California. I tell you that. Yeah, California fires, New Orleans terrorist attack, Las Vegas Cybertruck blowing up. The hits just keep coming. But the question is, are we going to make it to Inauguration Day on the 20th?
Yeah, so what do we got? Today is the 13th?
I think today's the 13th that we're shooting here.
So we got 7 days.
7 days, a week. I don't know.
Can old Krusty, can he do any more damage between now and then?
I mean, hey, this is just, we're just being kind of funny right now. Obviously, that's not, none of all that has to do with government or the left or any of that shit. I mean, California fires, I don't know. Must have been too dry over there or somebody did something. I haven't really looked into it all too much. All I know is destruction's bad. Prayers out to all the people that are affected by that. It's a bad deal over there. And it just keeps going. That fire just keeps on going. They can't
ahead of it.
Can't control it. New Orleans, that was tragic as hell. I don't know. To me, I said this when everybody was pouring into this country from the southern border. You couldn't pay me to go to a city right now.
A big city.
Yeah. I mean, you just couldn't pay me. I won't want to take the risk. You can call me crazy. But with just the sheer amount of people that we don't know that walked across the border, that we don't know what their intentions are, we don't know who they are as people. And I don't trust going to big places or big events. I just feel like this shit is brewing, and we've been saying it since last year.
Yeah.
You know, when we knew how bad the border was. I mean, some shit's gonna go down. I mean, shit's already going down, but more stuff's gonna go down. And I just would be very cautious and weary. I mean, that's just me. And I've talked to my friends; they're in the same boat. I mean, people that I talk to that we bring this kind of stuff up, they all think it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying don't go have fun, but same time, be very cautious because this kind of stuff I don't think is going to stop from happening. I mean, like I said, the California fires, that's one thing, but the New Orleans event, the Las Vegas event, those attacks, that kind of stuff, I feel like that's going to continue.
Yeah. If you really want to scare yourself, Sean Ryan has a podcast. Highly recommend it. He's got some pretty strange people he gets on there, but what is that woman's name? Sarah, I can't remember her last name.
The one from the CIA?
Yeah. Yeah, she's been awesome on there a couple of times. If you go to his show, you can find her. Sarah's her first name. I can't remember what her last name is. But she's written a book about basically the failure in Benghazi. But she also writes Sean's newsletter for him about kind of what's going on in the world.
Well, she was the one that broke the story about how we were giving money to
Taliban,
but Taliban families, terrorist organizations' families that we killed their son or their father or whatever. We were giving them money because we had done damage to their family, but we weren't giving our own veterans money. Like she brought that story onto the show, which is absolutely insane. So your tax dollars are going to pay for the Taliban.
Well, and it goes way deeper than that. When she was on there last time, she was talking about how we're giving money. Everybody knows about the money that we're still sending over there that we can't seem to get stopped. But then there's all this money that we're giving to the UN, and then the UN is doling it out for refugees, and I use that in air quotes. And she made the case that one of the guys, I think it's Osama bin Laden's younger son. So his oldest son that the U.S. claimed was dead is very much alive, and he has assumed the role of running the operation. And every other intelligence company or intelligence agency in the world has accepted that, except for the CIA. They don't want to talk about it because they won't admit that that's true. But I think it's she makes a pretty compelling case that it's true, but his brother is kind of like his number two, and he is getting money from the UN basically to sponsor terrorist training camps because he has done a good job of doing promotional videos where he shows these camps and they round up all these women and children and put them in there and make it look like that it is a camp for refugees, when in fact it's a training camp for Taliban fighters and for terrorists. Anyway, to go down that long rabbit hole, if you'd like to be scared to death about the possibility of what could happen in this country with the number of people that have made it in here that we just plain don't know about, she is a good... There's 2 episodes with her on it, and she makes some very good points about that. And it doesn't make me want to go to any large city, but especially a liberal controlled city where they've pretty much gutted out all of your social services, like your police, your fire, your city services of all kinds. Yeah, not on my list of places I want to go.
Yeah, no. And he also had a really good episode. I didn't end up watching it, but I saw a bunch of people talking about it, where didn't he have a guy that leaked the
letter,
the manifesto of the guy that blew up in the Cybertruck?
Yes.
That blew up in Las Vegas at the Trump, was it the hotel?
The Trump
Tower?
Hotel, yep.
Yeah. And I mean, do your own looking into that, because that's awfully fishy. I don't know. I think as time goes on and the more that fishy stuff happens and gets tied back to these 3-letter agencies, the more you just don't trust them. I mean, I think they do some good in this world, but they do a lot of corrupt shit too. They do a lot of corrupt stuff.
The thing is, I think, and we'll talk about this a little more because it's kind of on my list of stuff that I think is a trend in 25, but I think I said this to you. One of the things that we talked about, I think this was last year when you were in the beginning of, farmer grade, we talked about how a lot of people have this idea that CEOs and people that run Fortune 500 companies somehow are just smarter than everybody else. And we kind of put them up on a pedestal that, they really know what's going on, and they just are smarter than everybody. And then when something happens, we find out that they're no better. Like, they have all the same flaws that we all have. And I think it was probably one of the things that I used an example was how poor a leader Mary Barr is. And I really like to bag on her at General Motors because I think she's arguably the worst Fortune 500 company CEO out there. But anyway,
I think the other one was Budweiser. I mean,
I think right.
Was the Budweiser thing was the blatantly obvious, like that probably
Bad
wasn't going to hit with your demographic of people.
Yeah.
But they still did it. And that might not fall on the CEO, but
ultimately
it does.
The buck stops there.
Right. But it's just like, it doesn't matter if it's a 3-letter agency or a company that you would expect to always have every person disposable to them, every tool possible that they could use to win and to succeed or do the right thing, yet they still make mistakes, and yet there's still corruption in 3-letter agencies because shit falls through.
They're all human.
Yeah, they're all human. Shit falls through the cracks, and you get a couple bad eggs in there and stuff happens. But all that to be said, the other thing that, just makes me feel like stuff's going to get stirred up is Trump's going to be in office, and I still feel like they're going to make it their job to make him busy and distracted on focusing on crises rather than getting stuff done. Because if they just let him get stuff done, all the things that they have implemented or all the things they don't want him to touch, he's going to touch and he's going to fix. And so, I think creating crises is on, I don't know, I wouldn't just say it's the Democrats, but if there's corrupt people inside agencies or in the in the judicial part of America, judges, attorneys, we've already seen it. I mean, they've already tried taking him to prison. They already tried to assassinate him twice. Not saying that's just on the left, but somebody's trying to kill him. Somebody's trying to put him in prison.
Basically stop him.
People are trying to stop him. And so, I think that we're not done seeing that kind of stuff. So,
but don't you feel like that Trumpy is kind of doing the same thing to them in the fact that I feel like he very well the U.S. may be very interested in purchasing Greenland or making Greenland a state of the U.S. or making Canada a state of the U.S. or re-owning the Panama Canal or renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. But don't you feel like that also is a little bit of a ploy of Trump, that he's kind of creating his own crisis within politics, that all of these people are running around wondering, is he really trying to do that? Holy shit, we got to stop that. And then on the backside, he's just like, and he's just using the confusion to make it easier to actually get done what he's trying to get done. I don't know whether that's true or not.
I don't know. That'd be methodical. That'd be using the left's tactics. I mean, I feel like they try to distract us.
I don't know, but I feel like it may be that he's kind of creating all of this running up to inauguration, and then when inauguration comes, I think he may walk in the door and he may just he may just put the pedal to the metal, and all of that has kind of been smoke to hide his real agenda, and he's just going to hit it with his foot to the floor. I don't know. Let us know what you think about that, because I wonder, I mean, maybe that's all legit. Maybe that's all things that he really does want to get done, and he feels like that's something that, Americans can get behind. But then at the same time, I think he's got a lot of stuff that is much more important to him that he's really going to work on. So I don't know.
I think it also might just be we're seeking hope. We're seeking new, and I think he's trying to give us ideas that we can think that are new and exciting, that, calling the, American Canal. Yeah, that's every American's like, fuck yeah, like we love that, whatever. Yeah. Just easy ideas we can kind of understand and rally around. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Hopefully they put him in a glass box on the 20th. That'd probably be a good idea. Okay. But he probably won't, because
do you think there's any chance?
Over under, he gets put in a glass box.
Do you think there's any chance? Well, I was actually going to say,
are they going to bet on that?
Do you think there's a chance that he gets out of the limousine on the way from inauguration of the White House and walks down and shakes people's hands?
I really hope not. I hope he doesn't take that gamble, but I mean, they are going to have, I hope they have it all on lockdown. I don't know, but having your life almost taken twice,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't take the risk. But
he might rent the Pope Mobile.
He always looks at opportunities. I think I think about it like a customer. When a customer has a support problem and they reach out to customer support, it's your time to nail it out of the park. Because if you nail it out of the park, you go above and beyond. That customer's going to remember that, and they're going to love that. I think Trump looks at opportunities like getting shot at as an opportunity to, well, it's just, if I walk down the street right now and I go shake hands with all these Americans after had an assassination attempt on my life twice, that's just going to make my brand and me as a president look even more powerful.
Yep. All they're going to see is my giant balls dragging down the street.
Yeah,
shake hands.
Exactly. So I don't know. He's pretty bold guy, so I wouldn't put it past him.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Me too.
So
you went to an event last week, FarmCon. I wasn't able to make it because
somebody's got to do the work.
Somebody's got to do something around here. So we kind of divided and conquered. But how was that experience, and what did you learn, and who'd you meet, and was it worth your trip?
Yes. FarmCon takes place. I didn't know this. I had no idea. I'd never been there. It's been going on for like 20 years, I think. and it's in Kansas City, Missouri. They had it at the Lowe's Hotel, and I really wasn't expecting very much, just because I felt like it was more like going to be more like a lot of trade shows I've been to, and I have to tell you that I was very impressed. It is always a great time when you can get together with people and at some point you're listening to the speakers that they provide and somebody says out loud the same thoughts that you've had in your head, and you look around and there's a good amount of the people there that are all kind of nodding their head, and then you can say to yourself, well, I'll be damned, I'm not crazy after all. And I think that is what I enjoyed the most, and I will give kudos to the Van Trump family, because that's who puts it on. Kevin Van Trump, and I honestly never met the guy until this, but he does a newsletter, and he has a pretty good amount of people that subscribe. And I talked to a lot of people that have been coming to this thing for years, but every morning he would open up the day and just give his thoughts, and I really enjoyed that because, for one, the mood there was very positive. I think the majority of people there obviously probably leaned to the right, and they were probably, I wouldn't say that pleased as much as relieved was the sentiment towards Donald Trump being elected. A lot of people that I talked to were just relieved that the last 4 years is just about over, and happy to, in their mind, get back on track. But the thing that I liked the most about it was just the honesty of the speakers, really just saying what they thought, why they thought it, and talking about their trades, talking about what they're invested in, what they're doing, and why they're doing it, and their thought process. So like Kevin, for one example, he went through his portfolio as far as what he's invested in, and then why he's invested in it, and kind of what he's learned from making a lot of mistakes. As we talk about on here, we've all learned a hell of a lot more from what we've done wrong than what we've done right. And I mean, they gave some great examples of stuff that they bet on that they thought, yeah, this is a no-brainer. And it wasn't. And then stuff that they didn't do. Like one example was he was talking about when the housing crisis hit in 2008, they were down in Florida and they were like, man, we should buy a bunch of these fucking houses because this thing is going to come back and it's going to hammer. We should get in on this. We should buy a bunch of real estate down here. And they didn't do it. And now they're like, shit, we should have done it. But it was just really refreshing for that, and met some great people. And I'll just say, here's an example of something that I just thought was hilarious. Was I was down there the first night, got down late. I didn't want to go out. They had gotten a snowstorm, and they were pretty well cleaned out of it, but I didn't really want to go traipsing around to eat, so I just sat and ate right there in the hotel bar. And this family came in, this husband and wife and two kids, two young men, and their sons. And I was just in an area by myself, and I told them, "You're more than welcome to sit here because I'm just finishing up." And we struck up a conversation, and super nice people from Nebraska, and they, wanted to know what I did, and I was talking about what they do. And I don't know, I probably talked to them for an hour. And the next morning I go down to breakfast, and their daughter's there, and they're like, and the father's like, "Oh yeah, here, let me introduce you to my daughter, Laura." Well, it was Laura from Laura Farms. And I thought to myself, I'm like, you're a pretty good sandbagger, because, a lot of people would have just led with, "Hey, do you know my daughter?" Because pretty much in our world, everybody does know her, but just very humble people. And I really enjoyed our conversation, enjoyed meeting them. There was a lot of people there that, for whatever reason, listen to the podcast. And I appreciate so much the feedback that we get because, when you're doing this, let's face it, a lot of the comments you get a lot of good comments, but then you also get a heck of a lot of pretty nasty comments, which I try that, that doesn't really bother me that much, but you always wonder whether what you're saying is relevant and whether you're giving value or not. And we really try to be, the way I explained it to people that asked me about the podcast down there was, I always wanted this podcast to be kind of the same setup as when I was a kid and I would go to town with my dad and we would go to the feed store or we would go to the welding shop or we'd go to the lumber yard and there would always be a group of guys in there. There'd always be a group of farmers and they would be having basically the conversation that Sawyer and I have with you guys, and no bullshit, no worry about anybody's feelings, just this is what we think. And I always loved that. And I learned a lot of colorful adjectives as a young man there, and just a lot of things, and some that I probably shouldn't have. But I told people, I'm like, that is kind of what I have always strived for, is just to have honest conversations. And it's it's incredibly rewarding when you get to talk to people that partake in that and that they feel like that it's valuable to them. So that was awesome. As far as takeaways I got from that, I think relevant for farmers, Brazil is getting steadily closer to the day that they're going to be able to export beans the year round. And when that happens, that is really going to put pressure on the U.S. That's one of the reasons that I'm not very positive for beans, because I think we're going to be at a disadvantage. And one of the reasons for that is because the world over is not in very good shape. And as a result, even though our fiscal policy is trash, our dollar stays strong in compared to the rest of the world currencies, and that's hard on exports. But you have Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's BRICS. They formed their own trading bloc, and they're not trading in U.S. dollars. And that is going to hurt us too, because, as an example, there was a wheat sale, I think, from Russia into the United Arab Emirates, I think, and that grain sale was not, it was not recorded in U.S. dollars, so there was no way to know what the price was that was paid, because there's no market reporting. And that was just one sale. So that's one of the things they talked a lot about, was BRICS and what that's going to do to things. And then they also talked about how the consolidation in ag is just going to keep rolling, because farmers are getting older. It's a much more capital intensive business. Anybody out there that fails to diversify, I think one of the points that really was hit on down there that I picked up was, if you are a strictly row crop guy, or if you're doing row crop and you're raising some cattle, that may not be enough unless you want to row crop a shitload of ground. And the number of people that want to do that, I don't know. And we're competing for assets, because land now it's not a deal where it's farmers only looking to buy land. You're competing against such a larger group of investors that they are under the opinion that land's never going to really dip back down very much, because now it is now it's just another asset like owning a stock or owning a bond or owning Bitcoin.
Something else I think, not to cut you off.
No, you're
but
good.
I feel like why so many people are investing in land and just assets across the board is the knowledge has become available to learn how to invest in any asset class. Yep. And anybody that wants to find out how to invest can find the information to figure out how to invest. Yep. I mean, that's something that I don't think gets talked about enough either. I was just talking to a gentleman that I saw over the weekend that's a farmer, and I just asked him because he talked about how he acquired some ground, and I'm always curious just how you go about doing that. He bought some private ground, and I talked to him like, what do you think? What do you think about auction versus buying it private, and how do you go about those kind of conversations? And he talked about how, our county is really, really competitive, and there's a lot of money in this county because of the hog business. And so going to any auction, it's pretty hard to compete sometimes when you're out there trying to buy some ground and acquiring some acres when you're a younger guy. He said it was kind of discouraging. He went to 2 auctions and it'd go over, 20,000, 21,000, and you're like, holy shit, like that's insane. But going private definitely is the way to go. And he just said it's just getting harder and harder and harder. Yeah. So, everybody I feel like feels it. And I just thought that was pretty interesting. He thinks buying private's the way to go if you can find the ends to do it. Yep. And I think everybody would probably agree that that's the way to go. But yeah, we talk about it all the time on here, guys. I think diversification and thinking about your operation more like a family office, those kind of conversations, like I feel like those are the kind of conversations that got to keep being had, because I just had the thought of like, even when you split off the farm into 4 ways and give Sally a piece because she's the daughter, and give Brad the piece because he's the son, and then give Timmy the piece because he giving him the most because he's running the farm, but even then, like just splitting off ground to your inheritance to your kids, that's not going to be shit. That's going to be nothing. And that's going to fuck over the person that's running the farm, because what he gets might not even be enough.
Yeah.
If you piece out other pieces to family members,
cash rent for everything else.
Yeah.
It's going to make it tough.
I feel like you got to run the farm like a business, and the whole idea of this is mine and that's yours and this is Timmy's and this is Sally's and this is George's. Yeah, you can't do it anymore. I just think about that. I don't know why that's like that in farming, but you don't break up the small business like that.
Yeah.
When you have a construction business and you pass it on, you pass the whole business on.
Yeah.
You run the construction business, you pass the construction business on. With all the dump trucks, with all the workers, with everything, you pass all of it on, and they run it like a business. Yeah. In farming, why do we think we
need to split it up?
Split it all up. I just feel like that can't go on for much longer, unless you're right. You have an ungodly amount of ground, and it can work that way. But why pass the whole business on to whoever wants to be involved, and who doesn't shouldn't get shit, because it's a business at the end of the day.
One thing that was talked about down there, I had a really good conversation with a couple guys from the banking world, and I was going to come back and try to find this statistic, and I forgot to do it, but I would like to know, and there may not be a way to know, but I would like to know on average, when a farm is sold, when a piece of farm ground is sold, and the heirs get their money, I would like to know how long that chunk of money lasts. Because if I had to guess, it doesn't last very long. And that's one of the greatest
That would be a good stat to know.
Yeah, it would be, because, and I don't know if there's a way to know it, but what I'm saying is, you know, that's the beauty of an asset like a farm is it's not as easy to sell. It's not as easy to liquidate. It's hard to pay for, but once you have it, it is such a store of value, and it's such a store of equity that is not going to get pissed away if you do it right. But as soon as you convert that to cash, that cash, it just starts getting burned. I mean, and you can say that, oh, we're going to take it and we're going to invest it. I'd like to know how often that actually gets done, and how often at the end of the day, a generation it's gone.
Well, to me, if any investor, any person that finds value is smart enough to invest their money,
is smart enough to leave it in land.
Exactly. Yeah, right. If you're gonna sell it, I don't buy. You're gonna invest it. You're gonna go blow it. Is what you're gonna do, or you're gonna go pay for your kids' college, which is fine. Maybe you're investing it in other ways, but you're not gonna.
Yeah, you're never gonna get it. You're never gonna actually grow it from what it was. I don't feel I guess that's my point. Is I'd be surprised if you take what that value of that was when it was sold. You'll never again take that wealth beyond what it was to start with.
Yeah.
Chances are it will just get whittled
It's the
away.
get rich thing. I mean, inheritance. We're living this society now where the get rich and flex on Instagram is appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah. That's something, though, I think that is a trend. I feel like it's a little bit of a trend, and I think it's going to continue to grow, is I believe there's more people your age and younger that are starting to come around to the fact that living cheaply and having money saved is starting to get sexy.
Yeah, and I think that's probably due. I mean, I don't know. I guess I think it's the knowledge gap thing. I think the people that I listen to, the people that I follow, I know for me, I'm listening to people telling me invest your money. I'm listening to people save your money, build businesses, buy assets. That's the kind of people I'm listening to. But I don't know if that's
how widespread that is.
Yeah, I don't know how widespread that is, but it's definitely more common than ever before, I think, among young people, because those kind of conversations are happening at a rate that have never happened, you know?
10-4.
You know what I mean?
Yep. That's right.
But I think there's a lot of young driven people because of I think it's one, the knowledge out there, but two, what's given me the confidence or the willpower, I'd say, to go after and try to get what you want is because you see what's possible from so many different angles, from so many different walks of life.
Yep.
That when you can see what's possible and you can hear people's stories and you see, well, damn, he didn't know, like Rob came on here, and I always get people to say Rob Brenneman's episode was kick-ass. Like, that was a great episode. Yeah. And people loved it so much because he came from nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
he
built that from nothing. Yeah. And so, like, those stories are out there and they're inspiring, and it just shows you what truly is possible. So,
one other thing going forward that was a popular theme, I feel like, down there was amongst the people that were not all the presenters, but quite a few of them. Bitcoin is definitely the acceptance and the growth of it used as a store of value is very legitimate. And so a real highlight for me was one of the panels they had the last day. They had an investment panel, and they had Pomp on there. They had Anthony Pompliano. If any of you know him, he's out there on X every day, every morning. I mean, he's kind of like Jocko.
Does he still have a podcast?
Yeah, I think he still does.
Does a podcast. Too. Yeah, he. I love Pomp. I've listened to Pomp for a long time, but yeah, he's real good.
He's a Bitcoin maximist. But his, that's part of the reason that he was on that group. They wanted his opinion about Bitcoin, and he was very positive about it. But what I like people like him as a good example is they're true to themselves, and they're true to their own, like doing their own research. And one thing I tell you that I think that is totally 2025 is a year to totally trust your gut and not to trust the herd. Like when you feel like everybody's kind of saying, go this way, but you just are like, that doesn't make sense. I think that you're probably onto something. And that was a theme. That was a theme through a lot of those guys is, a lot of them success they've had in trades they've made or in businesses when it came to making decisions. So many times it came down to, even though it might not have been the popular opinion, or a lot of people were telling them, I don't know about that. I don't think you should do that. When they felt it in their gut that they thought it was right, or when everybody's telling you, do this, and they're like, I don't know. More times than not, that was the right answer. And I think that Bitcoin is gonna be a big year for it. We may have a drawback right now, but I think 10 years from now, if you're accumulating it, if you're dabbling in it, I don't see any scenario that 10 years down the road you're not going to be pleased that you held on to it, and maybe you add a little bit to what you're doing, or at least you got your toe wet, because I think it's going to become, especially if this BRICS thing keeps going and we have competing currencies, because if the dollar ever loses its hold on world markets, Bitcoin's going to go nuts, because it's so much faster to trade and so much more honest. You just know what's going on. And then the last thing I'll say about opinions down there is Tesla will achieve full self-driving in 25. A lot of people think they're going to be able to achieve it in the next 3 months. And if you're a Waymo person, or you're an Uber person, or you're any of these ride-hailing services,
shit in your pants.
Yeah, get ready, because when Tesla can prove that out, there are
robo-taxis.
Who cares how many damn Cybertrucks they sell? The automotive business is going to be such a small percentage of their profit. Their money's going to be made in software, because they're going to license it to everybody, and in ride-hailing. And they will put, I don't know how fast Uber can adapt, but I think they're going to make it tough sledding on ride-hailing businesses. So those are kind of my takeaways from down
Anybody
there.
talk about the stock market at all?
Yeah. And
I feel like we never talk about the stock market with just, like, we talk about Bitcoin and how bullish we are on that. And like, if the dollar falls, like, the stock market, not going to be good. And the inflation that's happened with the dollar also has inflated the stock market. So, you have catch-22 there. But I still think, I don't want everybody to always think that we're just all about the extreme shit. Like, I feel like Bitcoin definitely should be in your portfolio a little bit, but also, like, index funds aren't a bad thing either. A 10 to 12% guarantee year-on-year return, that's not a bad thing. So, I definitely dabble in index funds. That's something that I invest in every single month.
So that was talked about down there, and one of the points they made was, we saw a huge run in the stock market because you had all these baby boomers, which was the biggest generation we'd had, as they got to the point in their life in their 40s and 50s, they started investing. And that money went in the stock market, because they were traditionally, it had all been in houses, because that was the generation that you get married, you get a job get a job, get married, have kids, buy a house, and all that. Well, several people spoke to the fact that, because the question was asked, are we at the top of the bubble when it comes to the stock market? And the opinion that I took away from it was that no, we're really not. And the reason is because this Gen Z and the generation after, they don't see the value of home ownership. They see the value of experiences over home ownership. So they probably are going to go a lot longer before they put a sizable amount of money into buying real estate. But they are 100% the generation that sees the value of investing, and they see it way earlier than their parents and grandparents. And this generation that's coming up is the biggest one we've had since the baby boomers. And those guys all think that money is going to go in the stock market. And if that money's going in the stock market, all it can do is go up, because now it's not going to, obviously there's going to be a correction.
There always is.
There always is.
But if you do it over a 50-year, 60-year, 70-year period,
the liquidity, the amount of money that will keep coming to the stock market, it will push that market higher, because you just have, there is not going to be the money leaving the market to go into real estate like there was, or kept out of the market, I should say, because like the baby boomers, they were much later coming to the stock market because they all built houses, bought houses first. This younger generation, they will put money into the stock market before they put in real estate. So it bodes well for stocks over real estate.
So buy some index funds if you're young. Because at least be in the S&P. Just put a little bit in there every month.
Yeah.
Not investment advice. I'm just telling you what. Fucking listen to any financial mind of the world, and they want to say, what's the best thing I can do with somebody that I don't want to pick and choose stocks, but I want to grow my portfolio and grow my wealth. They'll tell you, buy the S&P 500, put money in the S&P 500 every single month, and just do that till you die. And you will have a sizable amount of money by the time you retire, or if you don't want to retire, you just want to keep working, you're going to have a shitload of money.
Yeah.
Depending on how much you continue to put in there. But when you're young, compounding is your biggest asset. You got compound interest up the mofo. So just do it. Do it.
Okay. The last thing that I'll say,
I think you've said that three times ago.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I guess that's kind of the end of FarmCon. Well worth. I would go back. I think I probably will go back next year. I really felt like I got value out of it.
You're selling me. Maybe I should get out of my my cave and herb it out.
Well, I did. I actually called you. I called you during one of the breakout sessions and just said,
"This is fucking awesome."
I said you should be here because there was a lot of younger farmers there, a lot of people your age that have your kind of vision, and the speakers I felt like really spoke to that group. I don't feel like I probably think like a lot of people my age. I'm immature in that way, maybe, or maybe you and your brother keep me young. I don't know which, but anyway, I loved it. But I know that you would.
Well, I might go next year then.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. So we were talking about change is constant. What are we changing in 25? I feel like we kind of already talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. I guess what do you want to say about
what I want to change? Gosh, the amount of podcasts out there of people cussing, I feel like it's just kind of one of those things that people just cuss on podcasts, But you would be so surprised at how much hate we get about, specifically me, about how much I cuss. So what I will do is I will lessen. I will cuss less. How about that? But I am not going to stop cussing. You ask anybody that's ever known me, this is how I've talked my entire life. My mom has always hated how I've talked. And when I get passionate and when I get excited, I start throwing around some cuss words a little bit, okay? So that's just who I am. Love me or hate me, I don't care. That's just who I am. But I will try, because the thing that does bug me, that makes me go, yeah, I probably should tone it down a little bit, is when people say, well, I don't want my kids to listen to it. I'm not going to let my kids listen to it when you're going on a tirade. Okay, that makes me feel like, all right, maybe I should cut it down a little bit. So I will cut it down a little bit. We will cut it down a little bit. We'll try to keep it a little more PG, but we're going to say fuck a couple times. I mean, we're probably going to keep saying it a little bit. So just know, hey, Jimmy, when you tell your kid you're listening to Barn Talk, might be a few words that you don't want to repeat when you're around your mom. Okay? Just keep that in mind. And be real. They're going to hear it on social media, and they're hearing it on the playground, whether you know it or not. I'm just going to tell you.
If your poor kid rides the school bus.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Especially nowadays. These kids, gosh, they know Pornhub at 9. I didn't know Pornhub till at least, I don't know when I knew it, but not 9. I mean, if you go on the bus, these kids know shit that they're not supposed to know. So anyway,
Scary.
That's probably something that I will work to change. I'll work to get smarter with my vocab and stop throwing around cuss words as much, but do not expect it to be a clean slate, never gonna cuss, okay?
We're not very vanilla people. And
No.
when we get passionate,
And we're farmers, okay? I mean, this is how we grew up. I mean, we grew up in this area.
It's not an excuse. I really struggled to get the severity or the intensity of the feeling that I'm trying to explain to somebody without swearing. It's people know that I'm serious. People know that I'm serious by the language I use, I guess I would say. So anyway.
And people also know that you're real when you say cuss words. And I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, it's not for effect. It's really not for effect. It's really just, that's how I truly feel. And, I sometimes can't get the weight of my argument across with, holy nuts. That's really, I'm serious about this. So anyway, but we'll all try to do better.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm going to try to change.
Yeah. We're going to try to actually do some construction this week. We're going to try to pour some footings on the barn for our manure separator. I have no idea how that's going to go. We're lucky in the fact that we've actually got to cut it in a little bit instead of build it up. And so I think we can get the frost out and get down to where we can get our footings in. I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna give it. Supposed to have 2 or 3 days when it's in the 40s here, and we're gonna cover it and blanket it and all that, and
give it the good old college.
We're gonna give it the college try because we all really want, in the worst way, to be separate manure coming into spring. It's been a long time coming. Upcoming podcast will have the founder and CEO of Livestock, Water, and Energy, and we're going to go through the whole process and explain it to you. And I'm really excited about that.
We are going to also, we say this every time we bring up this project, but this all will be documented on our This'll Do Farm YouTube channel. So if you didn't know this, we have another form of media of YouTube, This'll Do Farm, where we just show what we do on the farm, and this is going to be probably the biggest project and most important project of 2025, and we're going to show every step of it, the ups and downs, all of it. We're going to be just like we are on here. We're going to keep it as real as possible. So if you want to watch it all, you want to see it working, you want to see how we get it up and do it all, it's all going to be on there. So if you want to see that journey, subscribe to that, check it out.
Yep.
That's where you can see it.
This will do is a lot shorter form. Most of our videos on there are 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's pretty easy, palatable, pretty quick. It's more for the squirrels because we're all kind of squirrels. Barn Talk is for, you gotta be ready to consume some information.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is we talked about how I'm really trying hard to get control of the financial side of my business and get better at it. We made the decision. We had Jace Young on here, who owns a company called Legacy Farmer, and I'm starting that program. So my onboarding call is tomorrow, and we're going to use the software. We're going to use the community. I'm going to use the coaching because I want to get to the end of 25 and really feel like that I've got kind of the bull by the horn instead of the bull having me. And so I just wanted to throw that out there that any of you that are on his program, on Legacy Farmer, you'll be seeing me. I apologize in advance because I'm probably going to need a lot of questions answered. So, but I'll keep you up to date on how it goes. So I don't know.
Hoorah.
That's it.
Super Bowl prediction. I think the Lions. Oh gosh, I don't know, man. I don't know. The Lions look pretty unstoppable to me. They look pretty good, and I would love to see the Lions win a Super Bowl personally, just because.
I would too.
That franchise deserves a Super Bowl.
If they go to the Super Bowl and they dominate, they're up by 3 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter. Do you think with 2 minutes left that they suit up Barry Sanders and let him have a run just for old time's sake?
That would be badass, but I was going to say the other team's going to call Tom Brady and say, come down from the announcing booth and let's get you in some pads.
I guess that does.
See if you can do it another time.
That does start a bad precedent if they were to do that.
Yeah.
But for Sanders' sake, I wish that, they would do that.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. But I have the Lions, and man, I would love to see the Bills. My favorite player in the NFL, I'm a Cowboys fan, but my favorite player in the NFL is Josh Allen. I fucking love Josh Allen. Talk about a Cinderella story of a kid, had no stars coming out of high school, busted his ass, sent his high school tape to every person he could send it to, got an opportunity, got drafted, and has just become a superstar for an awesome franchise. So I would love to see the Buffalo Bills and the Lions, and honestly, I'd love to see the Bills win it.
Yeah, I'd
love to see the Bills win it over the Lions just because the Bills have lost 4 straight Super Bowls. 4 straight Super Bowls. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls in their time, never won one. And I love Josh Allen, so I got the Bills. Go Bills.
There's so many like just it would be hard to feel one. It would be awesome for both those teams. So it'd be easy to feel good about both those teams and either one of them winning. But then if the Bills were to lose that, you have to feel like the poor people of Buffalo, I mean, the curse just won't end.
Yeah, that would suck.
But then on the Lions side, you finally get the Super Bowl and you can't do it. But then if you're the Bills and they win.
Maybe we should just have the Chiefs play them and then the other, just have the Chiefs and Lions go and Lions beat the Chiefs. Then because everybody's over the Chiefs.
But if the Bills win, you got to feel bad for Jim Kelly because he could never get it done.
No.
And then Josh Allen gets it done the first time through. I mean,
I think he'd be pretty excited, though.
Yeah, he would be. They all would be excited.
Yeah.
So I'd love it either way. So.
Yeah, I'd love it either way, too. I think, I don't know. I think I don't know if the Chiefs can do it.
I do not want the Chiefs
I do not either. I think I respect the shit out of that
I don't have
whole
anything
team
against them.
But just want something different. Yeah. But man, if they three-peat, Mahomes is going to be in the GOAT talk. I mean, Tom Brady's got it locked down, secured, but Patrick Mahomes is goddamn.
Who's doing the halftime show? We're going to bring back
I don't know, but nobody's going to top Chris Stapleton's national anthem.
No, probably not.
I know that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
That was the best damn national anthem I've ever heard.
What's on the menu? What are we going to have?
Definitely going to have wings.
Wings are sold out on the Farmer Grade
I think
website.
I held back a couple packs.
All right, that's good.
So wings, I think we should smoke some pork brisket because everybody always is like, we sold out of pork briskets.
I know.
I put them out as a cut of week last week, and all of them sold out.
We got more
every
coming.
time. No. Yeah, later.
We do have more coming.
Later. Pigs are going in tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
But we had 40. We just got 40 back, and they've sold out like that.
I think it is such a great cut because It's like having, literally, we said this before, it's like having ribs, but
With a
it's kind of a
brisket.
little bit like brisket.
I describe it. I describe it to people that ask me. Leaner parts taste like rib meat. Fattier parts literally taste exactly like a beef brisket. Like
And it
it's
takes a
half the
third
time.
of the time.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. I mean, it's quick. You're not having to do it overnight and plan. Yeah, it's no wonder this sold out. It's awesome.
So wings, pork brisket. Probably do some of those Kansas City barbecue links. Those things are fire. Those campfire links are good. I don't know. That you always got to have smokies. Have some smokies. Chips and queso, chips and salsa,
You know what I'm going to do?
nachos.
I'm going to take those Kansas City links and I'm going to cut them. And I'm going to wrap them in bacon. I'm going to wrap them in bacon.
Oh, shit.
Then put a little barbecue rub and some brown sugar on the top. And
I was just at a whiskey thing this whiskey night last weekend, and this guy took a crock pot, and I think he just did like sausages, just like a link. Cut a link up. I don't know what link it was, but he cut a link up, threw it in this crock pot, and
he threw it in.
a crock pot. What did I say?
Put it in a crock pot.
No, crock pot. I would say something like that, but no, this time I'm being for real. Crock pot. I think Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, some brown sugar, some jalapenos. And I don't know if he had something else in there, but man, they were really, really good. Really, really good. So, but that's a good idea.
I think I might do that.
That'd be really good. But those Kansas City barbecue links are already pretty damn good.
I think you just wrap them in bacon then and
Just put brown sugar on top
put
of
a
them.
little brown sugar on the top of them and let them cook
melt
up till the
down.
bacon's crispy.
Yeah, it'd probably be pretty damn good.
Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what I got. That's what I mean, I don't got anything else to say.
All right.
I think
next,
that's it.
I think we got a lot of guests. And we've got we're building some systems.
We are building some systems. We got an awesome person coming to the team part-time that's going to help us with guest outreach, managing, relationships with partners, scheduling guests, and like talking to them before they come on the show, giving them an itinerary. I mean, we're getting organized here, and that's a kudos to all you, because this show, been doing it for a couple years now, but we really feel like we can take this thing to the next. We think we can take to the next level, because I feel like
we need to.
We need to. Yeah, I feel like we have something really unique brewing here. We got a really great community of you guys that tune in, and we need to get more heavy hitting guests on here. I love the idea though. Also, we got to find this balance of getting heavy hitter guests that have been on other podcasts that people know, but also those hidden gems.
Yeah, tell their
the
story.
Taylor Moyers, the Rob Brennemans. People, we love doing those too. So we're trying to get a mix of hidden gems that you can't find anywhere else, but also some heavy hitters that you guys know
got a
of.
Story we
want to highlight here on Barn Talk. So we're trying to build a team that we can do that, because we just simply don't have the time with everything else that we got going on. We can't do it all, but we appreciate you sticking with us. And this is just the beginning. We think we say that every year, but really we're just getting started. There's so much we got to do to this barn. There's so much more we can do with this show. And we're just really feeling good and optimistic about 2025. So we appreciate all you guys. We love you. If you want some New York strips, farmergrade.com, 20% off. Use code BarnTalk to save 10% more. Share the show if you got any value. Leave a review on Spotify or Apple. Tune into This'll Do Farm for the LWE project, and we'll see you back here next week for another episode.